Hello guys, welcome to a new vlog. So today I am reading books that I have heard about thanks to either booktubers or viewers of the channel, and I decided to make this a monthly thing because I get so many suggestions from these two sources that I thought I'd actually dedicate vlogs to them. I have already read something. So the first book that I picked up was The Beauty by Aaliyah Whitley, and I gave this a 2 stars. And I got this recommendation because Zach mentioned it. It's a fungi horror, so I thought I would check it out. I have given it 2 stars, but remember that horror is not my sort of favorite genre, and what probably makes a good horror book might be a bit too much for me. And it probably was the case with this one, which is basically about a bunch of mushroom women nymphos who want to continuously bang cishet men, and then everybody can turn into hermaphrodites. It's, oh my god, it's very full on in that respect, the body and sex horror. So you had this town where all of the women died from this disease that was like fungal, and then from their bones these mushroom women spawned, and the men were repulsed by them but equally turned on by them, and they were like fighting this almost parasitic relationship with them, so they couldn't resist the mushroom women. And in the end, like I said, I can see that it was playing with gender roles. Eventually the men ended up becoming pregnant and being penetrated in certain ways, and they would just cook in the kitchen all day. And I don't know what it was. I know this is not written by a man, but the kind of way that the men were feminized, it felt a bit yuck to me. It's not that I was offended by it, but I don't know. It's one of those ones where, are they just making commentary, or is it a bit tone deaf or antiquated in the way that it has played with the gender roles? I know. I just felt kind of like insulted in how the men felt as being women now. And yeah, the faceless mushroom women were hella creepy, and it was just overall a very gross book. I didn't love any of the men. I didn't want to be in their heads, which is all it is. You're in the POV of all the males. So I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. I think it just wasn't my taste. I know a lot of people do love this. I think if you are a fan of The Botanical Daughter, you would probably really enjoy this book. It has quite a similar vibe to it, this like quiet eeriness, quite male-centric. But yeah, it just wasn't my cup of tea. The next book I picked up was Wool by Hugh Howey. I saw this on Plant-Based Bride, but Samu also mentioned that she loved this book, so it was like 2 people recommending it. It's a shorter sci-fi, and basically it's like Fallout, the video game or the TV show. The world's gone to shit. You've got all of these sort of civilizations in these underground silos that have their own hierarchy and system and levels and class. And they have this method of sort of banishing certain people so they can clean the screens that are on there because they can't be outside. The air is now toxic. So they live in these dome silo underground structures. And you can tell that something obviously is going on, that the different levels, the higher ups, are not really letting the lower downs know what's going on. Certain things in history have been omitted and redacted, and some people are starting to become a bit curious and to investigate certain things. It started off really well, high intrigue, a lot of death, and then it just sort of went like this. Even though it's a short book, it felt very slow to me. I didn't particularly like the remaining living characters. All of my favorite people didn't make it. So it just felt like a poor man's version of Fallout. There wasn't enough going on for me. It was a bit more of I can't call it cozy, but it felt like a cozy sci-fi to me. Is it just sci-fi or cozy dystopian book to me? It does continue on. I have no desire to read any more of them. It was fine. Like, I did give it a 3 stars. It was fine. But yeah, I wasn't wowed by the writing. I wasn't connected to the characters, and the plot line kind of just had the same note. Like, it didn't really go anywhere unexpected. You can kind of ascertain from the beginning what's going on, and then that is what's going on. So yeah, I wasn't blown away. It was fine, but that was a 3-star for me. But today I am heading out to the city. So I am going to Curtain House because Nathan from Nathan's Nook was intrigued by a glimpse of the boutiques that were in that building. And that building is a multi-level one with a bunch of different shops in it. So you've got bookstores and bars and restaurants and clothing boutiques. So I thought, you know what? Yeah, let me explore it. Let me see what it has to offer. Obviously, I will not be going to the nightclub, the top upstairs, because it's not open. I have been there before. It has a very sort of sultry, almost Catholic church-esque vibe to it. It was interesting. I probably would recommend giving it a look-see if you're looking for a bit more of a classier nightclub in Melbourne. I'm going to be checking out the restaurant. I'm going to be checking out the clothing stores, the bookstore again, because I can't not pop in there if I'm going to be there. And they've also got a rooftop bar and cinema. I won't be seeing a movie, but I will be probably getting a drink at the rooftop bar after lunch. So that is what I've got planned for today. I thrifted this recently and I don't think I like it. I think conceptually it was cool, but I think I just look like a floating head.
Get it, bobblehead!
A piece of cleavage. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to be keeping this. I think I'll have to send it back to whence it came, back to the op shop. But I may as well wear it out for today. It's a nice sunny day, but it's still got a bit of a breeze, so I'll be glad to have the long sleeves. But that's on the plan for today, and then I will be reading more of the books. The next one I'm picking up is All Systems Red by Martha Wells. I saw this on Riley Marie's channel, but I also saw this on everyone's channel. This is one of those books that everybody talks about. They talk about Murderbot, who is the star of the show in this. So I've gotten that on audiobook, and it's very short, which is fantastic. I really like short audiobooks. And I actually don't mind then listening to an audiobook if it's short, whereas it's normally my least preferred method of consuming stories. But so far so good, being able to listen to it, go along with it just fine. So I will see you guys the next time I have finished some books. Okay, so I'm back from the city. Some of those clothing stores, the prices, guys, I could only afford those brands if they're secondhand. Could not and would not pay full price for that. A lot of the stores there are actually headquarters, so they're not open to the public. It's just the headquarters for the brands. But I did go to all the clothing stores, very nice ambiance, obviously. I went to the bookstore, didn't buy anything. I went to Cookie, which was gorgeous. I love the aesthetic and the vibe. I got a chicken pad thai and that was delicious, so would go back there again. And then I did the rooftop bar, but the views were very mediocre. I thought you would actually see the city, but it was very caged in. But I might look up some other rooftop bars in the CBD and check those out. I also grabbed a boba on the way back because all of the CBD trams were not running because of protests. So I ended up having to go on a bit of a walk, but hey, got my steps in. Thank God I wear comfortable shoes most of the time. I'm at that age where it's more comfort over fashion when it comes to my feet. But I did finish listening to All Systems Red, which is the first in the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. And so this really reminded me of back when I used to play Borderlands with my ex-husband. Claptrap was my favorite character. And it was similar to this in which you have a talking, sentient, kind of funny, sardonic, doesn't really like humans, robot, Murderbot. So Murderbot was definitely the star of this. I didn't really care about the kind of mystery that was going on because this is a sci-fi and basically there are these humans who are on a planetary mission of some kind, and in this world like contracts are sold to the highest bidder and they're all very vicious. They're very competitive and they like to wipe out their competitors and sabotage them. So that's pretty much what's going on. The humans are trying to figure out who's behind it and how they're going to survive, and Murderbot to the rescue, basically the good guy version of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator.
Come with me if you want to live.
He's there to help them survive it. I enjoyed it. It was 3.5 stars. I think the biggest draw for Murderbot is that he doesn't want to be around humans and he just wants to watch his shows in peace, guys. He just wants to Netflix and chill. But these pesky humans keep needing his help, you know? But yeah, that was a good read. So the next book that I'm going to read, This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno. I saw this on Frankie's shelf. I'll put a channel below. So this is a horror, but it's one that's centered around a lot of grief because the man has lost his wife. And I love grief. I eat it up. I hate it in real life. Absolutely hate it, struggle with it. But in a book, I feel it. I resonate with it. I want to drown myself in it. It's a paranormal horror, so I'm not always a fan of those. I prefer fantasy horror and then like sci-fi horror over paranormal. But we'll see what kind of paranormal it is. I've started it and I fucking love it so far. The writing about grief is impeccable. The way that this author captures the nuance and the minutiae of loving someone who is now deceased is masterful. Just perfectly captured. So far, I'm loving it. At the moment, we're just getting hints of something creepy. They had like an Alexa type device. I don't know why anybody puts that shit in their house. I'm already paranoid with my phone recording anything, let alone an object that's literally designed to be listening in on everything you're doing. But they had one of those things. It was creepy, it was malfunctioning, and this was before the wife died. And the wife died in this very freak accident. Is everything linked? I don't know, but so far I've loved this part of it. If this was just a litfic about grief, I'd be a happy gal. So I know that's not the case, that the horror element is probably going to ramp up, but I've loved what I've read so far. So I will see you guys again when I have finished the rest of this recommendations video. I just had some packages arrive at the door, so I thought, let me show you what I got. Got some candles, and so they came. So let's take a look. So first we've got this guy here, which how fucking adorable is that? So I got all different scents. This one is buttered caramel. That smells like something else. That smells like some type of grain. It reminds me of like maybe millet porridge. I'm not getting buttered caramel, but I am getting something starchy. And then we've got this little cat. So I've gotten gifts for my kids. As you know, Indy's cat is Sylvie, the grey one. So this is hers. She got the scent salted caramel. That kind of smells like salted caramel, but like salted caramels that your great grandmother has had in a tin for probably the last 30 years. That's what that's giving. And then we have a little black kitty. So this is for Valentine since Nova is her cat. This is coconut milk, but this smells Once again, this smells like the kind of bar of soap that your great-grandmother has in her bathroom. It's not coconut, it smells floral. And then I got one, obviously I got one for my lounge room since it's pink and green. And this is meant to be, oh, that's just broken off, one sec. Oh, cedarwood and vanilla. Kind of. It almost reminds me of mothballs, but like obviously some kind of wooden closet that your grandma needs in. I'm sorry to all the great grannies out there. This is just giving great granny. And he thought I wasn't going to get a bluebell. I did. So bluebell's part ginger because she's calico. So I got this one to represent blue and to put in my bedroom since my bedroom is orange and purple. And this is meant to be gingerbread, but it smells like cloves. So this just smells like cloves to me, but I'll take it. And the last one, once again for the living room, how fucking cute is this little hedgehog? This is a little hedgehog, and this is meant to be in honeycomb. No, bro. Yeah, look, the scents are not it for this, but they are very cute. Hello guys, so I did already film this, but I've just played back the footage and it was too loud with the cleaners next door. So let me talk to you again about the rest of the books that I read for this vlog, starting with This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno, which I did say that I was loving the beginning of because of the way that the author was encapsulating the grief of this widower. The horror element did kick into play and I didn't love it. But remember that horror isn't my sort of most loved genre. It did involve a doggy, and my bad for not checking trigger warnings, but then sometimes I can accept animal cruelty or death in books, and then a lot of the times I cannot. So I might have just rolled the dice for this anyway, but in this case, I really didn't like it. It was too much for me. So it's one of those cases where I can see that it's horrific. It's a horror book, so it does horrify you, but I don't want to be horrified in that way. So yeah, I didn't love the horror element. I do appreciate though that it wasn't predictable. So some things happened in the book that were very unexpected to me. I was quite shooketh and shocked at the turn of events in some of the ways. It's like, okay, wow, this is really kicking off. So it does go balls to the wall.
Balls to the wall.
Oh yeah.
I've given it 4 stars overall. So for a horror book, that is a good rating for me. I think it was well written. It was interesting. I would have still preferred it was just a litfic book about a guy and his grief. I think I would have absolutely reveled in that. But like I said, if you do like maybe portal horror, demonic possession type of horror, you will really enjoy this. I don't like those types of horror. So that was just not to my personal taste, but otherwise it was still a really well done book. And I would read more from this author depending on what they write. Like if it's horror, it has to be more to my horror taste, which I'm still kind of learning what it exactly is in horror that I enjoy. So it's one of those things I still need to fine tune, but otherwise an enjoyable read. And then the final book that I read for this reading vlog is Snapdragon by Kat Lee. So I saw this on August is Reading on their channel. And it's been a while since I've read, a wholesome, magical, middle grade graphic novel, but I do love those. Like I've got, where is it? Here, I've got the Lightfall series. So I do sometimes really, really enjoy those. And that was the case with this one. So in this graphic novel, you have a young girl named Snapdragon, or Snap for short. All of the women in her family have flowery names. And she's a bit of a misfit. And she finds another child who's also a misfit, and then another adult who is also an oddball. And together they make a little quirky queer cutie trio. The older witch person loves to wear Crocs and has a really interesting backstory. Everything about this book I absolutely ate up. So the story was fantastic. The illustrations were gorgeous. The pacing was spot on. It was just phenomenal. And that's why I've given it a 5 stars. I was just so happy. It filled my cup with joy. Like I said, the storyline was great. So it does have a lot of focus on family, friendship, belonging, community, not fitting in, and the like. I would say if you have an aversion to taxidermy, don't read this because it's a big part of the graphic novel. It is done respectfully out of the animals that have been roadkill, and they are doing it with reverence. but I understand some people might have issues with that, so be forewarned. But otherwise, I'd say read it if you like stories about witches and familiars and supportive communities, violets, and finding your power. The magic system in this was also fantastic and interesting, and I just loved every single bit of it. So that was, yeah, a 5-star read for me and a wonderful way to end the recommendations. Before I quickly recap everything I read, I have decided that I'm actually going to write out all of the books that I find because they were on a booktuber's channel or because a viewer mentioned it, and put them in a jar. And every month I will pull 5 of those books out of the jar, and that's how I'll determine what I'll read for this recommendations vlog. We had The Beauty by Aaliyah Whiteley, and I gave this 2 stars. Wool by Hugh Howey, which I gave 3 stars. All Systems Red by Martha Wells, which was an audiobook, and I gave that 3.5 stars. This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno, which I gave 4 stars. And my favorite read of this vlog, Snapdragon by Kat Lay, which I gave 5 stars. So those were all the books for this reading vlog. If you've read something amazing, pop it down below and it may end up in my recommendation jar. But until next time, stay wild, Star Child.